Okay, great. Once again, thank you for joining us this evening on our new programs for 2016 webinar. My name is Jessie Wachter. I'm a Global Programs Advisor for Rustic Pathways. Formerly, I was our Country Director for our Tanzania operations, ran our programs there for about 4 years, and I've personally run programs in Fiji, in Mongolia, in Tanzania, in Peru, India, and the United States as well. So I've been all around the world with Rustic Pathways, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. As we go through this presentation, we welcome you to add any of your questions into the question box there. Please feel free to type as you go. We will get to some of the questions throughout the presentation, and we will also have a question and answer section at the end of the program. So if you have any specific questions about specific programs, such as number of students enrolled so far, or if a certain session is available, I am happy to answer those questions. I will have my contact information at the end of the presentation. Feel free to send me an email and I can answer those types of questions. Other than that, throughout the presentation, if you have general questions about particular programs, please, like I said, feel free to fill them in there and we will address them as they come up. And I am joined tonight by our wonderful Brent Watkins. I'll let him introduce himself.
Thanks a bunch, Jessie. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all tonight. As Jessie mentioned, my name is Brent, and I'm the Vice President of Program Operations here at Rustic Pathways. And my role within the organization is I manage the design and delivery of all of our incredible programs in the 19 countries around the world where we operate. I've been with Rustic for 8 years and have worked closely with our programs in Southeast Asia in the past, in addition to designing our programs and working with a team that designs the curriculum for some of our programs. Prior to joining Rustic, I was a teacher myself, so teaching is my background. It's my frame of reference for all things that I do. I also worked for a couple of education NGOs prior to joining Rustic Pathways. And in addition to my work here, I also am on the adjunct faculty at the Graduate School of Education at Johns Hopkins, where I teach graduate students who are pursuing MSED programs in education. So a lot of that work is ported over to the work we do in program design here at Rustic Pathways. And tonight, I'm going to be talking to you about some of the exciting new programs that we have designed for this year all around the world.
Yes, we have a great bunch of programs. So Rustic Pathways has been around for about 33 years now, 33 or so. And we are in 19 countries. We have nearly 100 programs around the world covering a number of different topics. We do focus on service. About 75% of our programs have some sort of service element involved with them. Today we are going to focus very simply on the 12 brand new programs that we have for 2016. Here you can see an idea of where they lie around the world. And tonight we are going to start with our domestic programs in the United States.
Perfect. So the first program I want to talk to you about is our brand new program in Alaska, Off the Map Alaska. And this is our most adventurous program in the United States. And this program is a great opportunity to explore the last frontier in the U.S. It's packed with incredible outdoor activities and lots of natural wonders that are specific to Alaska. It's part of our Off the Map program series, which focuses on getting students out of cities and into some of the most untouched and beautiful places around the world. On this program, students will have an opportunity to go whitewater rafting down the incredibly beautiful 6 Mile Creek, which has been on my personal bucket list for a very long time. Do some backcountry camping in national parks in Alaska, and then also try your hand at ice climbing and whale watching on the Kenai Peninsula, which is down just south of the capital. Students have an opportunity to visit the highest peak in North America, Denali. And this is a program that is a little bit more rugged, so it requires students who have an adventurous spirit, but no specific prior experience in outdoor adventuring is required. But students who are really up for an adventure and okay with a little bit more rugged accommodations and some camping and super high-paced, energetic program, this is the best fit. It's open to students age 16 to 18, and students should be able to remain active for the entire program, and it includes a variety of accommodations, including some short periods of stay in camping. This is a really fantastic fit for students who are interested in a more unique and organic experience, and especially students who are interested in outdoor adventures. There's a number of other adventure programs that we offer around the world. This is just our newest in the United States. The next program that we're offering in the US, which is brand new, is a great program called California Dreaming. And this program is all about experiencing the classic beauty and awe of the Great American West. So students will explore the diversity and beauty of California with visits to Lake Tahoe, Yosemite National Park, and Redwood National Park. Students will catch golden sunsets and cruise along historic Highway Number 1, learn how to surf down in Big Surf, and then also do environmental service work in locations around California with a particular focus on conservation work in some of America's greatest national parks. The program is open to students ages 14 through 18, and this program involves 15 hours of service work over 2 weeks. So it's a combination of travel and service. It's not a service-intensive program, but we have included service where it makes sense and where it's a logical fit for the program experience. This is another example of a program where students should have an adventurous experience and spirit, but this program, again, does not require any prior adventuring and also doesn't include any strenuous adventure activities. It's a lot of traveling. It's a pretty fast-paced program, so students will get an opportunity to see a lot of stuff around that classic loop in California. This is a really, really great fit for a student who wants to stay on a domestic program. It's a great opportunity for a first-time traveler, perhaps a younger student, but specifically a student who's interested in staying domestic but wants a more adventurous traveling program. This program does not require students to be super pumped and excited about a lot of camping like the program in Alaska does. Cool. I'm going to pause here and just see if people have any questions about our USA programs.
Okay, we have any questions just yet. If you are just joining us, like I said, please feel free to type in your questions in that questions box, and I can answer some of them in line, and we'll also answer some of them live if you've got some questions for Brent as he goes along. But it doesn't look like we have any just yet, Brent.
Perfect. We'll keep going. So next up is Australia, and one of the most exciting new additions to the program mix this year is a program we're calling Epic Outback. And this is a throwback to what we used to do 3 decades ago. So over 3 decades ago, we cut our teeth leading epic trips across the Australian outback. And this program really is a throwback to the spirit of our earliest 4x4 trips across the famed Australian outback. Lots of beautiful natural wonders, outback camping, and service with Aboriginal communities. And this program is in many ways very similar to the Outback program that we've offered in the past. What we've done is we focused more time on the Outback experience, and we've reduced the number of service hours to fit the new service partnership there in the community. It's a perfect fit for adventurous students who want to experience the natural beauty of the Outback, and a great add-on for any of our other program options in Australia. So one of the questions that we most frequently get is, my student wants to do a service program, but they also want to do some adventure options, or they want to do some traveling to see the country that they're in. We have lots of really great service connection programs in Australia, and this is a really great pairing for it. Especially if you have a student who's really adventurous and interested in having an experience in the Outback. It's open to students 14 through 18, and it includes 25 hours of service over 2 weeks. So it does include some service, a little bit more than the California Dreaming trip that we previously talked about. So this is, again, a good fit for a student who's interested in some adventure activities, but also wants some service. And the reason why the service component is really meaningful in the program experience is it's a really great way of facilitating a community exchange and an organic and meaningful connection with the community. When we design our service programs, this is one of the things that we spend a lot of time focusing on getting right. For this program, students should have an adventurous spirit, but again, no prior adventuring required. Accommodations on this program is a mix of hotels, guest houses, and camping. So students should definitely be up for camping. And we've run this program for a number of years, and I want to toss it over to Jessie for a second, because Jessie has worked with a number of students figuring out what's the best fit for them. Jessie, I'm curious from your experience what you've found to be true about students who do our Outback programs.
As you mentioned, Brent, the Epic Outback really is quintessential Australia. We have programs that go all around Australia. We have a big loop program. We have programs that focus more on the Sunshine Coast and sometimes end up near the Great Barrier Reef. Epic Outback really is what you imagine the old explorers used to experience. And actually, what we found is many Aussies themselves have not been up to the Kimberley. They've not been up to these far northern reaches of the country. So it's a really incredibly culturally unique part of the country and in fact the world itself. So I think students that are looking for more of an off the beaten trail, off the beaten path, something that's really truly rugged, and they get the experience that you wouldn't necessarily get as a tourist to some of the more major cities in Australia that you may hit with your family, like Sydney or Melbourne.
I think that's a great point, and you raise this like, really organic experience, the quintessential Australian experience. I think it's worth pointing out for families who have never traveled with us, one of the things that we spend a lot of time intentionally doing is ensuring that students who travel with us get a real meaningful local connection. So we have local staff all around the world. All of our programs are a combination of local staff and non-local staff, mostly Americans, some Europeans. But on every program where students are traveling with us around the world, they're going to be traveling with a local staff member from that country who's employed by us full-time, and they lead programs with us year-round. And that's the case for this Epic Outback program. It's also the case that the staff who lead this program are from the Outback, which is an incredible flair to the program experience. So the next program that we have on offer that's brand new in Australia is a really, really unique and exciting concept that we call Island Survivor. And Island Survivor is for the absolute most adventurous student out there. And it's really for a student who's ready for the experience of their lifetime. It's a program that we've created as our own survivor challenge, Rustic style, of course. And students will have an opportunity to undergo mental and physical challenges after they're marooned on a desert island off the coast of Australia. So totally unique program experience. We've worked with the Park Service to get camping permits for a completely backcountry, remote, deserted island in the outlying portions of the Great Barrier Reef region, and we'll have an opportunity to take students out to this island for a number of days where they'll learn survival skills and go through some intentionally designed survivor challenges. The framing for this experience is they're going to be carrying only 3 items of their choice. They're going to learn survival skills from an Australian Army specialist, so a former Special Forces officer in the Australian Army, and students learn how to create shelter, source food, catch fish, build fires, collect and distill water, all of the quintessential survivor experience. In addition, we've paired it with some service work in coordination with the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority. So students will have an opportunity to do some environmental monitoring work, and it's a mix of service and adventure. And one of the reasons that we've designed this program is we feel like having the opportunity to learn survival skills is a really great framing for pushing students out of their comfort zone and exploring who they are in new situations. In addition, the final day of the trip will be spent in Sydney, so those students will have an opportunity to experience Sydney before heading back home. It's an ideal fit for adventurous students, and it includes a significant amount of camping. So for obvious reasons, students will want to be up for that and make sure that that's a good fit for them. It's open to students ages 15 through 18, and there's 15 hours of service work over 2 weeks on this program. I think it's worth noting it's a super unique program, and we've seen a lot of interest in it. So there are only a few, there's only a few spots available on the program at this point because we've seen so much interest. It's also difficult for us to run the program for the full summer because it's reliant on our ability to get permits from the Park Service for the program. So if you're someone who's interested in this, if this feels like a really good fit, it'd be great to get in touch with one of our program advisors so we can get you locked in as soon as possible. So switching gears a little bit away from Australia over to Burma. One of the new programs that we have on offer this year is a program called a Wadi Village Service.
Brent,
and this is yep.
Let me interrupt. We actually have a couple questions about Australia.
Yeah, sure. Let's pause and do this.
Yeah, as staff, we are super excited about this program. It's especially good for students of the digital age. Fantastic skills. So yeah, really excited that we put this together and to meet the students that are up for this kind of challenge. We do have a question about the average size of these programs for students. And every program is going to be a little bit different. Specifically in Australia as well, all of the programs have a different maximum number of students based on usually accommodation. If they're at one of our base houses where we own the property, we can accommodate a few more students. Where it's something like this, like the Island Survivor program, it's going to be a much smaller group of students. So specifically, Brent, can you speak to the 2 programs we've highlighted here? the number of students?
Sure, absolutely. So the Epic Outback program is 15 students. There will not be more than 15 students. In some very rare cases, if a brother and sister enroll together or something like that, it may be one more than 15. But that's pretty rare. So 15 students on the Epic Outback, and the Island Survivor will be no more than 20 students. I think it's also worth pointing out that we adhere to a really strict ratio of staff to students. 1 to 7. So we're going to have at least one staff for every 7 students. And in my experience, the vast majority of the time, we're actually significantly under the 1 to 7 ratio. So most programs of 20 students will have two non-local staff, and then also probably 1 to 2 local staff in the program.
Yeah, and at least one male, one female staff as well. Exactly. And where is the nearest hospital or emergency room for this island survival program?
That's a really great question. So there's 2 parts to answer that question. The nearest emergency room would depend on the specifics of the situation. We partner with an internationally recognized organization called ISOS, International SOS, and they provide us risk management guidance and also emergency preparedness and emergency response guidance. So in the case where we had an issue that the student needed to be evacuated either from the program site or in this case the specific island, we would always contact International SOS for guidance on what that evacuation would be. In the case of a simple removal from the program for something that's not super urgent, an example of that might be a sprained ankle or something like that. We would manage that internally. In the case where it was something more serious, we would work with International SOS, and they provide transport services to the best quality of care. So they would be advising us on the facility that would provide a standard of care equivalent to what a student could expect in the United States, where that's possible. In Australia, that's most certainly possible. Did that answer the question, Jessie?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Brent. I think we're all set.
And just a point on the International SOS, that is coverage that every student who travels on our programs will have access to. Perfect. Other questions?
Nope, I think that's all for Australia.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Just a really quick last point on Island Survivor. This, as we were toying around with this concept over the past 12 months as a program idea, one of the driving forces was to provide students an opportunity to disconnect with society that they're comfortable with. Most of our staff internally are people who lead lots of programs every year, or people who are teachers. So we have lots of experience working with students, and I think anyone who has experience working with students understands how difficult it can be to have kids engage in the present with the proliferation of technology and smartphones. One of the intentional purposes of this program was to show students how valuable it can be to completely disconnect. So that's a hallmark of this program. Perfect. So we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about Burma, which is a country that we've been operating in for a very long time, and one of the most unique countries in our set of program offerings, because it provides students with the opportunity of really getting off the beaten path and seeing a country that's just opening up to the world. The program we want to highlight here is our new program called Wadi Village Service, named after the core concept that we built the program around. And this program features an island in the middle of the famed Irrawaddy River. It's a very small island near the town of Bagan, and this island is home to 2 villages. One of the villages is the home of one of our most famous Rustic Pathways staff family. For those people who have traveled in Southeast Asia before, this is Sotan, Angkai, and Talin's family are from this village. And we've designed a specific program, a service program, around some of the needs that we've seen in this village. Despite being just outside of 1,000-year-old temples of Bagan, which is a huge tourist attraction for a number of tourists that are coming into the country, this village is rarely seen by foreigners. To get to this village, you have to know people, you have to hire a boat to take you out. be greeted by the village elders. And we have lots of deep connections with this village, and this village has asked us to come and do some very specific service projects. We've been traveling to this village on different programs and in different capacities for about the last 8 years. And as of last year, we formalized some service programs with the village. It's really difficult to do service in Burma because of the political context. So we're really proud to be able to offer some service options that have been designed in coordination with the local community. So students will have a chance to boat out to the village every day, and when they arrive, I've been to this village probably 7 times myself. It really is like stepping back 100 years in time when you step into the village. Village life is completely unchanged. It's a village that primarily relies on subsistence farming and fishing. Most people do not leave the village on a daily basis. They work on their own individual farms, or they make things that are sold in Bagan. And this is a great program because students will get to form connections with Burmese students as they lead English language activities, and we're running a day camp for students in the village. One of the challenges is that the students go to school in the village and they rarely have an opportunity to interact with others from outside of the village. It also features some trekking in the beautiful Shan Mountains, which are not too far from Bagan, some of the most breathtaking scenery in Burma. So this is a program that's open to students ages 14 to 18 and includes a mix of accommodations, but there's no camping on this program. It's mostly hotels and guest houses. And Burma still does not allow students to do, or anyone for that matter, to do homestays outside of monasteries. So students unfortunately can't stay in the village overnight, so they'll take a boat back from the village every day and stay in Bagan, which has some beautiful and very comfortable accommodations. Boat ride's pretty quick. It's about 10 minutes each day. This program features 30 hours of service over 2 weeks, and it's a really, really great fit for students who are really interested in seeing untouched parts of Southeast Asia, or for students who have previously traveled to Southeast Asia but are now looking for a more adventurous side of the region. One thing to note on Burma is that it's a country that's rapidly opening up to the world, and the political story is both interesting and compelling. So this is the prime time to be traveling to Burma and to be engaged in that story. It's also a really great program for a student who wants to travel to Thailand or another place in Southeast Asia, but also wants to connect. So it's super connectable to any of our other programs. Great. So that's our only new program in Burma for this year. There's some really exciting options that are not new if Burma is your destination of choice. Up next is Cambodia. And this is really exciting because the Cambodia Children's Project is backed by popular demand. We're reopening a dedicated program with one of our most long-standing service partners in Cambodia. And this is a program that or an organization that we've been in partnership with for over a decade. We designed some really intentional service projects with this organization, and we've run it through a variety of programs. And based on need with the service partner and interest from our alumni, we're bringing back a brand new dedicated program to this service partner. And some of the features of this program is students get to work with an inspiring locally run NGO in rural Cambodia called the BSDA. And the BSDA was founded by a handful of monks after receiving criticism from community members stating there was a lot of community need and the community didn't see them doing anything about it. So these monks formed this NGO, this local NGO that's been doing some incredible work with the local community on projects around health, education, and income generation. And what they've been able to do and the community support that they've been able to rally is just absolutely phenomenal. So students will be working with that NGO specifically on projects that we've co-designed relating to their priorities in health, education, and income generation. It's a perfect mix of service. So students are going to lead after-school activities for local students or local children who are attending the BSDA's after-school care centers, and we're also going to be working on some specific construction projects to support the capital needs of the BSDA. We're going to have an opportunity to stay at our base house that's nestled in a small, quaint village there in Cambodia, and this is a great opportunity because we have the base house dedicated for ourselves, so it provides a really safe and entry-level experience for students who have never traveled before, who are interested in traveling to a place a little bit further from home. So students will be able to unpack their stuff and have a dedicated space of their own and not have to worry about other people being in the hotel. It's all ours. And in addition to that, it's in a small village environment, so students will have the opportunity to see what life is like there. Provides a great opportunity for a really comfortable feeling, good opportunity for immersion, and then some really fantastic service in coordination with a partner organization that we believe has mission vision alignment with what we do. While the service is the most compelling aspect of this program, there's also some great travel packed in. So students start in the capital, they learn the recent history, and then they'll also have an opportunity to travel to Siem Reap, to see Angkor Wat. This program is good for students ages 14 to 18, and there's 42 hours of service over 2 weeks. Great. So the next program I want to talk about is our new program in China called Silk Road Service, and this is one of our most epic and intriguing travel service programs anywhere in the world. This program is a fast-paced trip through China's famed Yunnan Mountains, which is, interestingly enough, home to about 1/3 of the ethnic minorities in all of China. This program explores the experience of the ethnic minorities in the context of Chinese culture, visits some of the most breathtaking natural wonders in China, and partners with local NGOs in Yunnan for service work. And it's personally exciting for me because I designed this program myself and spent about 2 weeks traveling through the Yunnan region and was just blown away by how beautiful it is, the diversity of ethnic cultures. And how friendly everyone is. This program has an opportunity for students to lead service in a 600-year-old village, travel all the way across the famed Yunnan region, almost touching Tibet. So they'll go all the way to the western reaches of Yunnan, all the way up to Tibet, explore Tiger Leaping Gorge, which is just insanely beautiful and awe-inspiring, ride horseback into a remote village for a homestay overnight along the southern Silk Road, which is super interesting. Most people hear about the Silk Road, they don't know that there's two, a northern route and a southern route. Students will actually get to ride a horse along the southern route and to do a homestay. Accommodations are a mix of hotels and a brief homestay, but there is no camping involved in this program. It's a great fit for students interested in getting out of the chaos of major Chinese cities and experiencing a different side of Chinese culture. And it's especially good connection for any students interested in our Chinese language program because it provides a really incredible juxtaposition of the culture you experience in big cities like Beijing and Shanghai with a culture that's experienced in the rural countryside. One of my favorite new programs in our mix, if you're interested in China, this is a must-do program. This program, again, is open to students ages 14 to 18 and includes 22 hours of service. Great. I'm going to pause here just to see if anyone has any questions at all about China or programs in Cambodia.
I don't see a single question. Surprising. We have had a few people join us. Please feel free, like I said, to use that questions box, but it looks like you are good to go ahead, Brent.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to move on to Peru. And the new program up this year in Peru is a program that we're calling Peru by Backpack. And this program is a passion project for us. And it's in pursuit of one goal. We want to teach students how to travel independently in a real and meaningful way. We've had now a lot of alumni who have traveled with us, and they stay connected. They tell us their stories through our alumni association. They're connected with us on social media, and we see many of them traveling in college, study abroad programs, or after they graduate from university. And most consistently, they tell us that one of the biggest values in traveling with Rustic Pathways is understanding how important that local connection is. And we prioritize that as a design element on all of our programs. And with this program, we really wanted to teach students how to travel independently in a safe and meaningful way, which is a really interesting and unique challenge for high school students. I think we've struck the perfect balance, though. This is designed around that concept. It is a fast-paced adventure through Peru where students are at the center of decision-making. So students become real-life backpackers by planning their meals, their housing, their travel arrangements, and trekking across the Peruvian terrain. While students are taking a lead role in the program experience, there's always going to be our staff on hand. That's something that we prioritize and pride ourselves on the safety and quality of the experience, and it's a core part of what defines a Rustic Pathways experience. So our staff will be available, they'll be on the program full-time, they'll be facilitating the experience, but the students really will take a leading role in a lot of decision-making, specifically how they get from place to place. The options that they use will be designed by our staff, but students will be, as a team, making those decisions. We're going to explore remote corners of Peru, hike the Lares Trail, which is emerging as the best alternative as the Inca Trail It's completely full of disrespectful backpackers. And this program also has an opportunity to visit Machu Picchu. It's a good fit for adventurous and independent students. It is not a good fit for first-time travelers or travelers who are anxious about taking a lot of initiative in their travel experience. So this is a really great fit for students who are gung-ho about the specific experience and really understand what it is. It's open to students 16 through 18, and it does involve 10 hours of service over 2 weeks. It is not specifically a service program, but we have the opportunity to do some service in one of our long-standing partnerships that many of our other programs do service with. So we've included that. And I just back up a second. I said 10 hours of service over 2 weeks. It's actually 10 hours of service over 3 weeks. This is a 3-week program. It involves a variety of accommodations, including some camping, and involves the use of a lot of local transportation. And while this is super safe, it's also a lot more time-consuming. So this is a core part of the experience. And we think it really matters a lot for the program experience. And this is, again, a really great fit for students who are adventurous at heart and looking for that type of adventure in Peru. It's also a really great experience to connect with many of our other longstanding service partnerships within Peru. And those we won't talk about today, but we'd be happy to answer any questions if you're interested in another program in Peru. Up next is our brand new Southeast Asian Adventure program, which features adventure in both Thailand and Laos. So this is our most adventurous take on Southeast Asia. Students will climb, hike, explore their way through Thailand and Laos, and see some of the incredible sights of both Thailand and Laos, including the famed beaches of southern Thailand, Chiang Mai, the rugged and untouched beauty of southern Laos, and also features a lot of time in the Luang Prabang Mountains in northern Laos, which is among the most beautiful destinations in the world, among the few places that I travel to frequently that I never get tired of going to. This program involves zip lining, rock climbing, snorkeling, sea kayaking, caving, hiking, and it's just packed full of adventure activities. It's a perfect fit for adventurous students who want to explore Southeast Asia in an adventurous way. And in addition to all the adventure activities, it's a great way to see the beautiful countries of both Laos and Thailand and get to meet some of our incredible local staff in both countries. It involves a mix of accommodations, including hotels, guest houses, and a fair chunk of camping. And also, the program gets to stay at our beautiful brand new Rustic Pathways Mekong base house that's perched right along the Mekong River in the Luang Prabang Mountains. It's very fast-paced, so it's important for students to understand that they need to have a high energy level and understand what they're getting themselves into, because it's super fast-paced with lots of adventure activities. The program's open to anyone ages 14 through 18, and the other thing that I would bring up is we have a number of other adventure options in the South Pacific and also in Latin America if students are interested in this type of trip, but just outside of Southeast Asia. And those can be found on our website, and we'd also be happy to answer any questions that you all have about them. I'm going to pause here before we move on to Tanzania to see if anyone has any questions about Southeast Asian Adventure or Peru by backpack.
Yeah, Brent, we do have one question. It sounds like somebody's interested to know whether you need previous hiking experience for this program.
That is a really fantastic question, and the answer is absolutely not. No previous hiking experience required, and I think this is a good opportunity to point out when we design our programs, with the exception of some language programs, some classifications for language programs, and with the exception of some of our scuba diving programs, we assume no prior experience because we believe it's really important if students are passionate about an idea that we're passionate about, that we teach them all the skills necessary to be successful in that idea. So no prior experience. I started hiking when I was about 5 years old, and all my vacations involve some hiking, and I think it's an important part of life. So no experience required. Great question.
Yeah,
Other questions, Jessie?
Yeah, can you describe a little bit more in detail the camping aspect of this program?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question just once for me?
Can you describe a little bit more in detail the camping aspect of this program?
Yeah, the camping is in southern Laos, and it's in a national park in southern Laos. It is not backcountry camping. So what I mean by that is students will not need to carry their tent and sleeping bag and all of those things in with them. They won't even be required to travel with them. We'll have all of those for them, and all of it will be set up. And we will facilitate cooking activities. Students will be sleeping outside. A lot of times students choose to bring their own sleeping bag on programs like this. We will frequently provide them, but all that information can be found in the packing lists on our website. So if a sleeping bag is required, it would be listed on the packing list. And sometimes, even though a sleeping bag isn't indicated, some people like to bring their own. But it's not backcountry camping. For those people who have camped before, it's more similar to car camping with just no cars.
Great. So it sounds like the kids are in tents then.
Students are in tents. Students are in tents, and they will be sleeping on the ground with sleeping bags and with a ground mat. And a ground mat is just to provide a little bit more comfort and also insulation. It's very hot in Southeast Asia during the day. It cools down a bit at night and makes it a little bit more comfortable, but most students won't have any problem staying warm.
Okay, great. And how many days of camping did you say?
This program currently involves 4 days of camping on this program. 4 full days, 3 nights.
Okay, great. And we do have a question about packing lists. Most of the packing lists are up on the website. I know there are a few programs that do not have the packing list. They will be up shortly. This is a situation where the country directors are refining the packing list for these new programs. Once you enroll, you will be paired with one of our personal travel advisors. You can ask them any questions. They can relay those from the country director, but those packing lists will be available on the website relatively soon.
Perfect. Other questions?
I think we're all set.
All right, we'll move along to a brand new continent. So up this year, we have a brand new program in Tanzania that we are excited about because this is a program concept that has come to us out of a lot of requests from our alumni. Many of our alumni travel on programs in Southeast Asia where we have lots of environmental conservation or animal programs, the same as the case in Costa Rica. And we've been asked a number of times for some animal conservation and habitat conservation programs in Tanzania. We, over the past 12 months, have been working with the Jane Goodall Institute, which is a world-renowned organization that works on animal and habitat conservation work on the continent, and we have a brand new program built around that concept. So this is a great African wildlife conservation program, and it's specifically a deep dive into wildlife and habitat conservation in Tanzania. Students will get an opportunity to sample vegetation, plant trees in a local nursery, and work on service initiatives in a local community at the base of Mount Kilimanjaro in partnership with a local NGO organization called Roots and Shoots, which is the student advocacy arm of the Jane Goodall Institute. Later on, students will have an opportunity to travel into a national park in search of chimps on a chimp walk with some researchers from the Jane Goodall Institute. It's important to note that this is primarily a service program in partnership with Roots and Shoots and Jane Goodall Institute. So we've worked pretty closely with them to design a conservation program that it's consistent with their priorities as an organization. So the primary focus of this program is not animal interaction. While there is some animal interaction with the chimps, and through the work we do with Roots and Shoots, there will be some sightings of chimps on the chimp walks with the researchers with the Jane Goodall Institute. It's really a good fit for students who are interested in animal and habitat conservation service work. The program features 30 hours of service work over 2 weeks, and it's open to students ages 16 to 18. It's an ideal program for aspiring biologists or students who are interested in zoology, any student interested in animal and habitat conservation work. Program is not a good fit for first-time travelers. Accommodations are a mix of hotels and guest houses with a few days of camping also involved in this program. One important note is that we're only able to run the program at the beginning of the summer because our partnership with the Jane Goodall Institute and the likelihood of spotting chimps later in the summer. It's very unlikely that researchers will be able to spot chimps in the wild habitats. So we're only offering the program in the early portion of the summer, and it has received a lot of interest. I think there's a couple of spots available. So if this is a program that you think is a great fit for your son or daughter, get in touch with one of our program advisors as soon as possible so we can get you locked into those spots that are available. Great. So we have 2 more programs to cover tonight. Before we do, I want to pause to see if anyone has any questions on our new program in Africa.
Yeah, it looks like we do have one question about whether you will be climbing Kilimanjaro. Specifically, not during this itinerary. This program does focus on animal conservation and will be focused specifically on that theme. Students will be spending most of their time in Western Tanzania, a pretty remote area of the country. They do have the option to combine trips. It is very easily combined with our Kilimanjaro program. So if students want to spend more time in Tanzania, they want to combine and add the mountain as well, that is definitely possible. As Brent mentioned, our new program was sold out. It looks like a few spots have opened up in the last couple weeks. So if you are interested, I would definitely recommend registering as soon as possible. And then you can look into combining Kilimanjaro to add that onto the beginning or the end of that. Actually, it would be towards the end of the program, since the conservation program runs towards the beginning of the summer.
Jessie, I'm curious, since Jessie has run our programs in Tanzania for a number of years in the past. I'm curious what you're most excited about with this new program, given your extensive experience in Tanzania.
Yeah, I definitely am biased. As I mentioned, I worked in Tanzania for 4 years, and it's a shame that it was not something that we could provide students while I was in Tanzania. I'm really excited. I've been following along with Patrick, our current director, who's working closely with the Jane Goodall Institute in developing this program and providing this experience for our students. I think it really gives students a chance to, students who are interested specifically in animal conservation and the development of research in this part of the world, they're really going to work side by side with researchers and show what goes into this very sensitive species in a very sensitive area of the country. So I think it's going to be a very unique experience compared to all of our other programs that run more in the east of Africa. And I think it will also combine really well with students that want to go on safari, perhaps in the Serengeti or the Ngorongoro Crater, or they want to climb the mountain. This is going to be a really nice balanced program for offering two very unique experiences in the country.
I think your first point is spot on. I think it's also worth mentioning that we have intentionally partnered with the student advocacy arm of the Jane Goodall Institute, an organization called Roots and Shoots, because they have a U.S. presence. So it's a great opportunity for students to stay involved. After they've done the program, they can return to their schools and stay involved in Roots and Shoots and the work that they're doing.
Right, absolutely.
Great. So let's round out the hour here before questions with our last two program offerings, which are in our newest country, Cuba. And it's really exciting to note that Cuba is opening up in a pretty significant way. And we have chose to step back and really think critically about the type of experience that we want to offer in Cuba. And we've designed two options around what we believe to be the most exciting opportunities for student travel in Cuba. And the first of these is a program called Innovation in Action. And Innovation in Action is a program designed around a single concept, which is students going out into the world after they finish their secondary career or their post-secondary, perhaps graduate career, are going to be faced with a variety of global critical issues. And I think it's been really important to expose students to these global critical issues, give them a frame for understanding these issues, and then also a structure for conquering some of the most difficult global critical issues of their time. So students traveling on this program are going to face a variety of global critical issues as they travel through Cuba. What we'd like to do is expose them to these, help them understand and process what these mean, and then give them a framework through design thinking to potentially design solutions to these challenges. So as I previously mentioned, the purpose of the program is to expose students to challenges and opportunities in developing nations and learn a design thinking skill set that can be used to iterate solutions to that. So students are going to learn the actual design thinking techniques from professional facilitators that we work with in partnership with an organization called Innovation in Action, which specializes in running design thinking workshops for high school students around the United States. And Innovation in Action as an organization has a really interesting story. It was founded by a CEO of a tech company who designed a tech company, took the tech company public, was very successful, and then stepped back and said he wanted his legacy within the industry to be championing this idea of teaching design thinking skills to students. So the work that they do is providing design thinking workshops to students all around the United States in high school, and we've partnered with them to help us facilitate design thinking workshops on this actual program. So students will have an opportunity to go through an entire design challenge, learn the principles of design thinking. Many people have heard of design thinking through IDEA, which is another organization that champions this idea. We've chosen to work with Innovation in Action because they specialize in design thinking for students. Students will get an opportunity to experience two of Cuba's most iconic cities as they travel and tour Havana and Trinidad, put their design thinking process to practice in the context of the challenges that they're seeing within Cuba and the opportunities that they're seeing within Cuba, and iterate solutions that are in the context of social development in Cuba. This program is a perfect mix, perfect fit for aspiring social entrepreneurs, students interested in international development or international relations, and then also students who are interested in Latin American policy or politics. It's also a really great experience for students who are interested in traveling in Latin America, and they're just really interested in understanding how they can digest global critical issues and then potentially make a change in the society that they experience it in or in their own society. One of the most exciting aspects of this program is students have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to experience Cuba as it's opening up or reopening up. And they also return home with a really solid skill set of design thinking. So they'll be able to apply this design thinking skill set in all aspects of their career when they go home, which is really exciting. So lots of tangible takeaways for students. This program is open to students ages 15 to 18 and involves 12 hours of service over 2 weeks. And this is not specifically a service program. We've designed this program around this idea that we want to expose students to challenges and give them the tools to understand those challenges and iterate solutions. But we want to do a design challenge, and we've designed a design challenge in partnership with a community service organization that we're working with in Cuba, and it does provide the opportunity for a little bit of service work, so we're including that. It's important to note that this program is primarily focused on design thinking, not service. So if students are interested in service and they're interested in traveling to Cuba, the second option that we're opening up this year in Cuba is probably the better fit for them. And that's a great segue to this option, which is the program we're calling Viva Cuba. It's culture and conservation, and it focuses on Cuban culture and then also service work specifically through the lens of conservation. And I'll talk a little bit about why we think these two things are important. First and foremost, we think it's really important to expose students to Cuban culture so that they can develop their own opinion about the society as it opens up to the world. So like our Innovation in Action program in Cuba, students are going to get an opportunity to travel around. Lots of focus on organic engagement with local communities. So we've intentionally designed in this program about 10 different specific experiences where students are engaging with the local community, which is sort of a hallmark of all of our programs that we think makes them really successful. Secondly, we really wanted to provide an opportunity for students to do service because it's a great opportunity for cultural immersion. It's also a really, really, really great facilitator of organic interaction with local communities. It's really challenging to do service work in Cuba for a lot of reasons related to the political environment and archetypes and biases about Americans. So service work and real meaningful service work is not an easy thing to do in Cuba. What we've been able to do, though, is build some relationships with local organizations that are doing conservation work within the country and develop partnerships that allow us to do service through those conservation organizations. So this is a Rustic style Cuba trip, classic traveling service program. Experience the culture as the country is opening up to the rest of the world, but with a heavy focus on environmental conservation service. So just like the other programs, students will have an opportunity to travel to Havana, see the culture in Havana, travel to Trinidad, which has a really interesting story, learn about the great strides that the Cuban conservationists have taken in protecting national parks and serving as a model for conservation efforts throughout the Caribbean, which exists prior to travel restrictions being lifted on Cuba. This is something that Cuba has done organically very well over the past 3 decades. We want to expose students to that, let them form some opinions about the value, and then also getting engaged in service work. Getting an opportunity to experience a lot of the untouched natural beauty of Cuba. One of the interesting things about Cuba is it used to be a tremendous tourist attraction for lots of Americans. My grandparents, for example, went on their honeymoon in Cuba. And this generation, our generation of students now, have never had an opportunity to see that. So as it reopens, they'll have an opportunity to experience and see why it was such an incredible travel destination two decades ago. Students will have an opportunity to work alongside Cuban farmers, meet local student youth, and then also work in some local co-ops. The program is open to students ages 15 to 18, and it involves 24 hours of service over 2 weeks. Accommodations are a mix of local hotels and guest houses, and there's no camping whatsoever on this program. It is important to note that most accommodations in Cuba are locally run, very small guest houses or hotels. So we, whenever possible, prioritize using those because we think it supports the local communities that we operate in a more sustainable way. And then also provides a really great opportunity for students to have some cool organic local interaction. So with that being said, let me pause there and see if anyone has any questions about our programs in Cuba or questions in general about any of the new programs that we've discussed tonight or any of the programs that are in our program offerings that we haven't discussed.
Yeah, you actually did a fantastic job, Brent. We did have a couple questions that you rounded out the hour with, including accommodations. So we have exhausted all of the questions that have come through the chat. We do have a few minutes. I want to thank everyone for tuning in for this hour. We will stay on as long as it takes to answer these questions, but if you have any other questions, please feel free to give us a call to our main line. You can reach any of our global program advisors. My email is there on your screen. Please feel free to send me an email with any questions that come up in the meantime. I'm happy to walk through any of these 12 new programs that we have, as well as, like I said, our almost 90 additional programs that we have around the world, and find something that is the best fit for you. So looks like we had a couple questions coming through here, but again, thank you so much for joining us. And last little bit of information, we are recording this for people that were not able to attend this evening. So if you have any friends that have interest in these new programs, this will be available on our website. Just let us know if anything, we can do anything else. And Brent, it looks like we do have a question. Do you happen to know what the weather is like in Cuba during the summer? Is it pretty hot out there?
That's a great question. It is hot and humid. Cuba, like the Dominican Republic, does have the benefit of a breeze during the summer, so it's not the hottest time of year, but it's pretty warm in the Caribbean in the summer.
Great, and it looks like we do have a question about airfare as well. We do have, the question exactly is, how is airfare determined this far in advance? Would you like to just based on that, Brent?
Sure. And I'll make a general statement about airfare, and then if there's for all countries, okay, perfect. And if there's specific questions about airfare for individual countries, I'm happy to answer those as well. We determine the airfare based on about 3 decades of booking group travel. So we have a lot of institutional experience on understanding the trends in the airfare, and then also group contracts with various providers. So that's part of what allows us to set the prices this far in advance. We also have some established contracts with airfare providers from many of the places that we operate that allow us to better understand and secure those group seats. So when you buy a group ticket with us, it means that we guarantee you a ticket on a group flight, meaning that flight is fully chaperoned by one of our flight leaders who meets the students at the domestic departure hub, flies with the students all the way to their program destination, and hands the students off to their program leaders when they arrive. So it allows parents to really comfortably say goodbye to their students domestically, close to wherever your departure point is, and feel really good about the student's safety as they travel to that destination. We also have airport coordinators in all of our departure hubs around the United States that help facilitate students getting checked in. So if a student needs to fly domestically to connect to one of those departure hubs, for example, I live in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, so I fly from Raleigh to one of our hubs in JFK, for example. There'll be someone who will help me get checked in JFK, introduce me to the flight leader. The flight leader will fly with the students and then meet the program leaders in country. Frequently, what will happen with our contracts as we renegotiate them, the price may change. So if the price goes down, we refund students for the change in that airfare, and that typically happens through the course of the fall. So And that's just something to know and keep in the back of your mind. For specific programs, the flight routing will be different. There are a few programs where students will take more than one international flight to get to their final destination. For example, if you're traveling to any of our programs in Southeast Asia, the flight departs the United States from one of our departure hubs, East Coast departure hub and a West Coast departure hub for Southeast Asia, and then we'll travel to Singapore, and then from Singapore on to Southeast Asia. Again, there is an airport coordinator in Singapore, and then the flight leaders with the students the entire time. So there's always a chaperone on those flights. Hopefully, I answered that question. If there were follow-up questions to the flights, please feel free to chat those in. You can also find a lot of detailed information on our website for the international airfare flights costs, in addition to the internal airfare. So some of our programs that involve travel internally within the country also have some associated airfare, but those are listed on the website, and you can see all those with each program.
Yeah, definitely. And we have got a question about where we fly from for programs in Alaska. And for our domestic programs, students are actually able to arrange their own airfare from their own domestic airports. So it doesn't matter if you're coming from Chicago or from Denver, you can fly from your home airport to the domestic location. And again, your personal travel advisor that you're working with throughout the setup to the program will help you fly in and depart at the right time so you're there, and we will pick the students up at that airport. Another question about catalogs as well. Catalogs have just been released. They are coming hot off the presses. They're in our Ohio office now. If you would like a catalog, you can order one from our website, and we will have it sent to you right away. We do have some catalog requests that came in earlier in the year. They're now in our office and being sent to families if you submitted one of those requests.
Jessie, just a quick follow-up point on flights, and some of our programs allow for students to arrange their own airfare, all of our domestic programs, for example. Some of our programs require that students fly on our group flight. And I just want to talk briefly about why we do that. There's two reasons why. First is there are some programs where we feel like to facilitate a safe and meaningful experience, we want to have all the students travel on the group flight. The second is on some of our programs, it's important to have all of our students arriving and departing at the same time to ensure the integrity of the program experience, whether that be a connection to an internal flight or the program starting straight away. So that's the rationale for some of our programs being, we allow some of our programs to arrange their own airfare, and then some are required to use the group trip.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, that's a great point.
Great. Other questions?
Yeah, I think we're all set. We'll give everyone another moment if you have any questions that pop into mind. And like I said, you've got my email there on the screen, so please feel free to use that. And again, once again, thanks for tuning in, spending this hour with us this evening. And thank you, Brent.
Thanks, folks. Yeah, absolutely. A pleasure to be with you all.
Have a great evening, everyone. Happy Halloween.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.